The bears continue to flex as the market pushes lower. Can the bulls fight back? This is Invest with Jacob. Okay, guys, so in yesterday's video, we talked about the fact that the bears were trying to close the week under the 21 weekly EMA on the NASDAQ chart, and the bulls would need to fight back to close above it by Friday. As of yesterday, the bulls did nothing to do that as the market closed basically near the lows. Now the question is, can the bulls fight back on Friday? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP 500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, with the market pushing down, more pressure remains on the bulls as we head into the end of the week. So let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1 hour futures chart for the S&P 500. And the market's been following our path pretty well. They came up yesterday to that 50.95 level and rejected and came back down to close basically at the lows. Today, they tried to spike it back up into that level and got rejected to new lows. And the market hit the 50-40 target area we were looking for. But since we already made what we think is wave 3's bottom here at 50.47, the next target lower would be the 50.25 to 5,008 range. To complete, they could extend this as far as 49.85, but you would look basically for 5,008 to be where they target to the downside if they're going to follow through. Now, they did make a lower low, so this, in fact, could be all of wave 5 already in, like this. But if they do extend, our next target would be 5,008 and then 49.85 to the downside. Now, the bulls are kind of up against the wall. We talked about this yesterday. The 21 EMA on the weekly chart on the NASDAQ is a problem. So you'd want to see the bulls rally into Friday, into the end of the week. And if they can't do that, it's a big warning sign for the bulls. We already have major warning signs in. They broke our major support box up here and then came back and tested it and broke down out of it. Now, if they close below the 21 weekly EMA without so much as a bounce, that is a very bearish sign and a very bad look for the bulls. So if the bulls are going to try to fight back here, they're going to want this to be basically the bottom of this wave. They can push down a little bit tomorrow, but the further they push down, the further they are away from getting back above that 21 on the NASDAQ. But they can push down a little bit. I don't think they'll be able to recover if they get down to 5,000 unless they just make a monster run. But we'd look for them to bounce in an ABC type pattern up towards the 51.20 or so area. And if they're truly going to try to bounce, this would be a completion of a C wave down. So you'd look for a B wave up. Now, the reason it's going to be a B wave is this is ABC to complete a smaller or a bigger wave A. And then we'd be looking for a B wave up. So ABC to complete A, then the start of B up if the bulls are going to rally. The first leg of that rally, I think, is about all they'll be able to put in tomorrow unless they can break out over 51.20. If they can do that, then we can look higher. But for the next few days, I would look for their A leg up towards the 5100 area, then a B wave down, and then C up toward 5200 or so to create a wave B. And then the real fun starts. If they can turn this back down, we can see a C leg lower towards 4800 and possibly even below that if it doesn't hold. So the bulls are up against it tomorrow. I think if the week closes at the lows, or more importantly, below that 21 moving average on the NASDAQ, which we'll see in just a minute, that will be a problem for the bulls. Over on the NASDAQ. Okay, guys, real quick, here we are on the weekly NASDAQ chart. The weekly 21 is sitting now at about 17,660. That also coincides with this weekly low right here. So this is really good support that the NASDAQ just kind of walked right through on this weekly candle. They're going to want to close back above this to give themselves any kind of hope to the upside for a bullish path. The bulls do have a path higher on ES to new all-time highs. That would be a bigger ABC. I did not go through that, but you'll see it here on the NASDAQ as well, the same type of path. But the bulls will really have to break through some levels to see that happening. Right now, the biggest thing the NASDAQ needs to do is get back above this 17,660 level tomorrow and close above it. Any close below that level or below this weekly 21, especially a weekly 21 that's rolling over and starting to point down, that becomes very bearish for the NASDAQ. And what you can see is they can push down tomorrow and close, and this is starting to roll over. They come back and back test it, and then they can shoot down again into these lows here and this support. So the NASDAQ continues to blow through support, which is indicative of a diagonal selling off, which I have warned about for a long time that you would see straight down selling, which we have seen over the last week. You see this big red straight down bar after 2 weeks of basically selling into that, and then continuation here to the downside. So the NASDAQ on the weekly chart, we'll drill in here in just a second, really wants to close back above 17,660. On the hourly, okay, now on the hourly chart, in addition to the 21 weekly EMA, the NASDAQ is looking at this low right here. And if it breaks below that, that's another warning sign, because Elliott Wave Theory tells us that a wave 4 of a larger degree, in this case, this could be a larger degree wave 4. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it's certainly possible. A wave 4 of a larger degree should hold a wave 4 of one lesser degree's low in corrective depth theory. If they come down and break below that, it makes it less likely that this is a bigger wave 4 and more likely that we're going to see more downside to follow through. So another warning sign for the bears, or bulls rather, would be breaking this low over here. And that low comes in at 17,480. So they're only about 50 points away from that low. But conversely, they are also only about 120 or so points away from this high here, 130 points away from this black line, which is the 21 weekly EMA. I just have it drawn in a black line here. And 120 points on the NASDAQ is not a big move. They can do that very easily. We've seen 300, 400, and even 500 point moves in a single day on the NASDAQ. So they are close enough that getting back above this 21 weekly EMA is certainly attainable in one day. Very doable number. But if they continue to push down and break down below this wave 4 low, we could run the risk of acceleration into this 17,000 area next before we see any kind of bounce. And that would also close us below this 21 weekly EMA in a large fashion and be an ugly, ugly, ugly weekly candle for the NASDAQ. So the bulls need to step up on Friday. It's a big day for the bulls. If they do not, there are many warning signs that we have a major top in place. Now, if the bulls are going to fight back, we would look for them to first break back over this 21 line and then over this smaller degree wave 4 here, which is at about 17,760. We'd look for them to give us a rally up in this direction to try to close up near the blue box for a potential wave B. We'd look for A, B, and C like this, and then the real selling to the downside to start. But again, if they can't do this, we could see accelerated selling to the downside without much of a bounce. But given some other things, some other charts we looked at, and different things, I do think the bulls should be fighting back. Typically, you don't blow through these kind of moving averages the first time you try them. Coming down into this, going into Friday, has everybody bearish. It's options expiration. It's the end of the count. We're at our targets, so I wouldn't be shocked at all to see a bounce tomorrow back above this line to give the bulls a little bit of hope and a little bit of life, and also to follow the pattern that we're looking at where you have A, B, and C complete, and you'd be looking for an A, B, C back up and then down from there. Guys, if you love the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It'll take you right over to the webpage. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible monthly plans that both come with a 7-day free trial, because I want you to get in there. I want you to make sure you love it, become part of the trading team, interact with PT and I, and check it out before you ever spend a penny. You can cancel at any time. You literally have nothing to lose by just coming and checking us out. We also have our excellent educational material. We have our advanced and beginners course. In our advanced course, we go through all of the different complex patterns that the market gives us that aren't standard, that make it very difficult to trade. Patterns like diagonals, patterns like triangles, double and triple threes, flats, all that kind of stuff. We also go through trading Elliott Wave as well as advanced fib levels. There's a lot of excellent material in here that covers the advanced parts of the market so that you can understand this market in a way that makes sense. Each of the videos goes through a walkthrough of what we're looking at. So for this example, it's a contracting ending diagonal. I show you what that looks like overall, where we're looking for it to happen. Then we draw in the fib levels and look at how they're supposed to work and what we're looking at there. You can see the fib levels on the chart. And then after that, we go into the chart and look at how this breaks down in an actual chart view so that you can see how these types of patterns play out. For instance, we're in a contracting ending diagonal to the upside now that we're selling down hard out of, and you can see on the screen here they come down to their point where they make the bottom, and then you see straight selling back up or straight buying back up. Well, we're doing this in exactly the opposite right now, where we just topped potentially and we're looking at straight selling in the other direction. So these things help you understand complex parts of the market so that you can make sense of it. As you can see on the screen, people are really loving this course. It's helping them make money and trade these types of patterns There's a lot of money to be made if you know when they're ending in these types of moves. And that's all in the course. Now, if this is too advanced or you're looking for something to get started with Elliott Wave, we also have our Elliott Wave for Beginners online course. This course is helping real traders make real money and finally understand the market in a way that makes sense. It can be so confusing when good news makes the market go down and bad news makes the market go up. And Elliott knew that the news cycles were garbage and that they didn't matter. He knew that key levels did, and he knew what happened when those key levels held and when they broke. And this gives you a huge advantage over the rest of the market. This course is 25 videos in 3 parts, where we go through the introduction. Since you're new to Elliott Wave, we go through your expectation, the mindset, the KISS method, and why it works. Then we go through the chart setup and tools to get you set up to make sure you're doing it properly. We go through every tool you need to use with Elliott Wave, how to use it, and why. And we have our Elliott Wave for Beginners area, where I go through each of the waves, how they work, how to measure them, how to understand the key levels, the corrective depth theory, the pivot, the theory of alternation, all of the stuff I talk about in these videos that help you understand the market in a way that makes sense. Now, the really cool part about both of these courses is if you don't want to pay for them, they are included with a monthly membership. And if you want both of them at the same time, we do have our bundle course where you can get them for a discount. But again, if you don't want to pay, you can just simply join one of our monthly rooms and you get those courses for free. In our first room, the Invest with Jacob room, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where we go over exactly where we are in the counts and what to expect, as well as all of the training material you just saw. We trade the SPY and the QQQ and we swing in day trades. We do trade quite often in my room. Now, if you're looking for futures trading, individual stocks, income trading, and advanced trading, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as individual stocks, futures trading, PT's income trading. If you haven't seen any of my last 4 videos, we go through his income, how much they're making. They're crushing it. They're on their way to their goal again this month, just absolutely killing it in there with that. And his reduced risk binary method that absolutely crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you big multiples on your money, and it's how he structures that trade that's so unique. And that's another reason we give you that 7-day free trial. He also started a challenge account where he put $4,000 into an account, trading mini ES futures, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we'd love, love, love to have you in these rooms so we can all make money together. All right, our key takeaways for today. Can the bulls man up and bounce, or do they get run over and the market starts to fall? We would look for the bulls to hold the 5024 region to 5008 region next to the downside. But really, they need to start a push sooner than later to close the week back above that 21 weekly EMA on the NASDAQ. Over on the NASDAQ, they can continue to push down, and if they break this wave 4 low over here, that is a huge warning sign for the bulls. But the bears, but regardless of that, in order to kind of get a little bit of a grip back on the market, the bulls want to close the week back above this 17,660 area, which is the 21 weekly moving average. If they close below that on their first try, that is a weakness in the bulls and a warning sign to the market. Guys, it's the weekend. Grab yourself a drink. Get out of the house, have some fun, enjoy the spring, and I will talk to you next week.